All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the February 22nd, 2024 regular meeting of the Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. All right, Monica, can we get the roll call, please?
President Gibson?
Here.
Vice President Ruffing?
Here.
Commissioner Ansier?
Here.
Commissioner Jacks?
Here.
Commissioner Janner? Here. Commissioner Risvold?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
All right, thank you, Monica. Because of the public interest tonight, we're going to move some of the agenda items up on so we can discuss it first.
Move to move item 5.3, Okay. Move to move item 5.3, Daughters of the American Revolution, proposed marker from new business discussion to after matters from the public in recognition of public interest in the topic.
Second, Thompson.
Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Monica, do we have any matters from the public on general items?
Not on any non-agenda items.
Non-agenda items. All right, thank you. So next we'll move on to the Daughters of the American Revolution proposed marker. I'll hand it over to Executive Director Wilson.
Thank you, President Gibson. Good evening. We have several speakers who wish to address the board on this agenda item. And prior to hearing from the speakers, I would like to provide a brief overview and correct some information that has been observed in communications to veterans and members of the community. The Fort Payne chapter of the Illinois State Organization of the Daughters of the American Revolution contacted the Park District with an interest in placing an America 250 plaque in a park. 3 parks were suggested by the group, including Burlington Square, Veterans Park, and Central Park near the Veterans Valor sculpture. When these types of requests are received by the Park District, the evaluation process begins with presenting and discussing the topic with one of the district's committees. Committees are comprised of 2 to 3 commissioners and are limited to reporting recommendations for consideration by the full board. Contrary to information shared in the community, there has not been a vote by the Naperville Park District Board on the acceptance or placement of the plaque, and all board members have not had an opportunity to discuss the proposed America 250 marker. Discussions have only occurred within the Parks and Recreation Committee. This evening will be the first time the proposed donation and placement of a plaque by the district has been presented to all 7 members of the board for discussion. The purpose of tonight's discussion is to gather consensus from the board on whether there is an interest to develop an agreement with the Daughters of the American Revolution to accept the donation of an America 250 marker and place it at a Naperville Park District park. If there is consensus to proceed with developing an agreement, Park District staff will work with the Daughters of the American Revolution on drafting an agreement to present for approval by the Park District Board at a future meeting. We look forward to hearing the thoughts on this topic from members of the community and the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director Wilson. I'd like to thank everybody who showed up tonight. It's great to see such interest in our Park District and our community. I'd like to remind everybody each speaker will have 3 minutes, and for equity's sake, to give everybody a fair chance to speak, we're going to have a timer that'll go off and let you know when your 3 minutes has been reached. We are going to reserve comments from the board, and we can, if we have questions for speakers after everybody's had a chance to speak. I think that's going to be the most equitable way to do this. So, Monica, if you could please call first speaker.
Catherine Weir, followed by Kevin Coyne.
Hi, I'm Catherine Weir. I've been in Naperville on and off since 1955. And does everyone know what the meaning of the word patriot is? Yes? Do you know what it is? Okay. So we're here today because of the patriots of the American Revolution who defeated the British. And the purpose of our organization, the National Association of the Daughters of the American Revolution, is to honor our veterans, to do service, and to do conservation. And so we are descended genealogically from the Patriots. Is that understandable? Okay, any questions on that? No, okay. So this is the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution is coming up. So I sent in a letter with the pictures of the plaque that we're asking you to consider placing in one of the parks. And it's a plaque commemorating our patriots. And any questions on that? No? Okay. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Coyne, Naperville resident, former Naperville City, rolling away on me. Former Naperville City Councilman, appearing on 5.3 to ask that you all support the acceptance of the marker referenced in your agenda as 5.3. Been in Naperville a long time. We're a very patriotic community here. We love our vets. We're very respectful of the service and the sacrifices that have been made. I have every confidence that our community would very much welcome a marker such as the one proposed, and I would hope that you all accept it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jill Brewer, followed by Ginny Narset.
I'm Jill Brewer. I'm the regent of Fort Payne chapter. You may be asking, who is DAR? What is America 250 and why are we here? National Society Daughters of the American Revolution is a nonprofit, non-political, volunteer women's organization, service organization established in 1890 and dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and securing America's future through better education for children. Any woman, including all LGBTQ and trans women, all women 18 years and older, regardless of race, religion, or ethnic background, who can prove a lineal descent from a patriot of the American Revolution is eligible to join us. Our patriots are Black, white, American Indian, men, and women who achieved American independence from the British. What is America 250? America 250 is a nonpartisan initiative to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. Why are we here? We are here to ask the Naperville Park District to accept the donation from the Fort Payne chapter NSDAR of an America 250 Patriot marker. In celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States with a marker, we remember all veterans, from the patriots of the Revolutionary War who fought for independence and freedom at the birth of this great nation, to those who serve today to protect this free country, including Naperville. Fort Payne chapter was established in Naperville in 1928, and last year recorded 7,112 hours of community service in Naperville. We will have our 100th anniversary as a chapter here in Naperville in 2028. Fort Payne and the Naperville Park District have an existing relationship that would make the installation of this sign a great fit. Fort Payne has been a community partner with the Naperville Park District for years through the Adopt a Park program, as we maintain the area around the Veterans Valor statue. We also had a ceremony on Earth Day in 2023 at the Riverwalk as we dedicated a tree through the Naperville Park District to a beloved daughter who had passed away. Our DAR Day of Service for 2023 was spent cleaning up the historic Hobson Stones in Pioneer Park. The Naperville Park District 2023-2025 strategic plan shows core values to promote community involvement, promote positive human interactions, and goals to expand the engagement of volunteers to assist with national area restoration, park maintenance projects, and similar programs. The marker will certainly do both of these as a talking point and a public reminder of the 250th anniversary. I'll also remind you that the Park District recently installed a sign donated by the Kiwanis Club at Veterans Park. I will quote the executive director, "We're grateful for the donation. Our sign meets all these core values, goals, and established precedents. For these reasons, I encourage you to vote to accept the donation of an America 250 Patriot marker from Fort Payne chapter." Thank you.
Thank you.
Janine Orsett.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting us out today. I was notified yesterday about the possibility of maybe not getting a plaque in the Park District. I just want to start out by saying I'm a 30-year veteran of the United States Air Force. I retired as a Master Sergeant, and I still volunteer. My grandfather, actually my 5th great-grandfather, was a prisoner of war in Staten Island during the Revolutionary War. He got to eat shoe leather because that was the only protein that he could find to live. My other grandfather fought in the Revolutionary War. They all believed in saving this country and to support the country and the Constitution. I think what I am really amazed at is people discriminate against women who have their organization, and this is one area that I hope that this organization looks at as far as supporting us in this effort. It's just a small plaque. It's not a big deal. So please consider supporting our military. Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you for your service as well.
Michelle Swanson, followed by Ren Jakubiak. Jakubiak. Thank you.
Hi, as First Vice Regent of Fort Payne Chapter NSDAR, I am here to ask the Naperville Park District to accept the donation from Fort Payne Chapter NSDAR as of an American 250 Patriot post marker. I would like to read you a press release by the National Park Service from July 2nd, 2020. The National Park Service and the U.S. Semi-Cinquentennial Commission, America 250, have partnered to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 2026. The partnership will enrich efforts to educate and inspire as the nation begins the countdown to the largest and most inclusive commemoration in the nation's history. The commemorative period will launch on July 4th, 2020, and continue through 2026. During that time, America 250 and the NPS will work to connect nearly 350 million Americans, as well as millions of international friends, with the country's heritage and continuing journey. Through the sites, stories, programs, and resources of the National Park Service, we are eager to work alongside America 250 to engage all voices in a dialogue about our country, its multifaceted history, and ongoing efforts to form a more perfect union, said the National Park Service Deputy Director David Vela, exercising the authority of the director. For many Americans, this July 4th will look and feel very different, said Daniel Diala, Chairman, America 250. These challenging times give us a unique opportunity to reflect on a shared history and how each of the stories is woven together with the histories of all Americans. The National Park Service brings these stories to light through the deep cultural history of our national park system, places where generations of Americans are reminded of our common ideals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The people and places of the NPS preserve significant natural and cultural resources throughout the country. America 250 is the federal body tasked with commemorating and celebrating the nation's 250th anniversary of independence. Together, they will work to promote shared stories and experiences and strengthen common bonds through programs, educational outreach, and signature events leading up to July 4th, 2026. For these reasons, I encourage you to vote to accept the donation of an America 250 Patriot marker by the Fort Payne chapter. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ren Jakubiak. I'm a former regent of Fort Payne Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. I have lived in Naperville since 1984. My children and grandchildren were educated in the school system here. We have both Red Hawks and Huskies in our family, and I am very proud to be a Napervillian. Everywhere you go, on the news, wherever I travel, people have heard of Naperville. We are an outstanding community. We are a patriotic community. We honor the mission of the Daughters of the American Revolution to preserve history, to honor veterans, to educate children with scholarships, to get the point across that our ancestors fought for our freedom, for the reason you're sitting here, that you were elected to your position, that we are here to talk about this openly. We honor Constitution Week every year for a full week. We hit all the schools with the information about the Constitution. We do things within the community. We mentioned Adopt a Park. We give firemen cookies at Christmas. We participate in everything that we can. We put wreaths. There's one right now, I need to take it off, at the Veterans of Valor Park right next to Giamia. And we do everything we can to promote patriotism and to keep our town on the map. And this is a marker that is not just in Naperville. It's across the United States, in cities, counties, states, all across here. And this is in conjunction with Congress. Congress passed this committee, the 250, and it's a marker with 250 on it that I would like proudly to be displayed in our community, because that is who we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brenda Easter, followed by Carol Parks.
Hello, my name is Brenda. I'm a military veteran, Air Force veteran, member of the American Legion and the DAR. Over 20 members of my family have fought in various wars, all the way from the Revolutionary War, all the way up through Korea. I was assigned stateside during Vietnam. Some of my friends got to be nurses in Vietnam. I don't know if you'd say that's a good thing or not, but my family has served. One man was killed in Africa, two became disabled, severely disabled, and there was an Army nurse in there. She was my aunt. I can't tell you how patriotic I've become. I was a military brat, moving all over since I was a small child, and my whole life is the military. I've never gone back to being a civilian, unfortunately. The DAR was important to me to find out about it about 6 years ago, and to see how I could qualify to be in it. And they make us trace our lineage all the way back. So I talked to a gal who's a professional genealogist in the Chicago Genealogical Society, and she said, you know, if you trace all your male lines back and look up the women's maiden names and all that, and trace all your relatives all the way back, which would probably require years of work, she said each of you probably has at least 60 relatives who were involved in the Revolutionary War. There are 127 of us who live here in town. So when you see me and Jill and Julie and all these women, you're seeing the result of all these patriots from the Revolutionary War. We represent them. And we're a very diverse group. Anybody who can, as Jill said, anybody who can qualify and trace their lineage can become a member of our group. We have one lady of color. Julie is Filipino. We have 3 veterans, one of which is Chinese American. She served in the war in Iraq, in the Navy. It's a diverse group. And Kay is a doctor. We have some lawyers, some teachers, women of all walks of life. And we do work with the Sons of the American Revolution. We've tried to find more projects with them. We've tried to come up with projects from the American Legion. In fact, it was the Legion who called me and said that they would like to be involved with this. And I appreciate that very much. I don't know what else I can tell you except that I think this is very important. The DAR in general, over the nation, has contributed more than 7 million hours in service to our country last year. Our organization has probably done, 7,000 hours? 7,000 hours in the last year. This is serving veterans, this is beautifying parks, this is collecting money for Loaves and Fishes Food Pantry. This is honor our Outstanding Citizen of the Year last year. It was Hossein Jamali, the owner of Maison Sabika. And he has contributed greatly to the Loaves and Fishes Food Pantry. Which,
Thank you, Speaker. Wait,
okay,
your time
sorry.
is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Parks.
Good evening. I'm Carol Parks. I've been living in Naperville since 1989. My children and grandchildren now are in the school system. I'm here to talk about something that is current right now that all of you could be doing. I'm the chairman of the Honor Flight Chicago Mail Call, and I try to get 100 thank you notes off every month to this a program that they have. And Kids Matter also donate thank you notes that I send in. They've sent 100 notes so far, so we're connected to the community with children right here. And I think that this is something that you could even be doing right now for us. If you want to contact me and send me thank you notes, I send them out at least once a month. And we would definitely appreciate you honoring us with this 250-year marker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn DeConti, followed by Candace Peel.
Good evening. My name is Lynn DeConti. I'm a former regent of the Fort Payne chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. And we moved here from Hawaii in 1978 when the population was 37.5. All my children have been through the Naperville school system, as well as my grandchildren have all graduated. I'm also the chair of the Adopt a Park program for our chapter for approximately the last 10 years, along with my co-chair, Jane McKay, who couldn't be here this evening, and many volunteers within our chapter. We go down every spring and we plant flowers next to Veterans Valor in the park, as you've heard from others. And every fall we plant tulips. This year we're looking for the tulips called Smooch to bloom and blossom for all the community. We talk to many passersby when they come along. It's something that we feel very proud of, to honor the Veterans Valor Monument there. I'd like to share with you something about America 250. On July 4th, 2026, our nation will commemorate the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, the U.S. Semi-Quincentennial Celebration. Led nationally by the U.S. Semi-Quincentennial Commission, created by Congress and its America 250 Foundation, the commemoration is a multi-year effort beginning in 2020, culminating on July 4th, 2026, and officially concluding in 2027. Leading up to 2026, a coalition of public and private partners are all working to create initiatives and programs that celebrate 250 years of our history and inspire the American spirit in all Americans. Dear board members of the Naperville Park District, it gives me great pleasure to provide additional details and perhaps unknown facts regarding this amazing plaque that honors all veterans and helps celebrate America's 250th birthday. On April 21st, 2023, there was a special America 250 plaque, dedication ceremony held by the Congressional Cemetery and the District of Columbia Daughters of the American Revolution, celebrating the installation of a new historic America 250 marker at the gravesite of Elbridge Gerry, the only signer of the Declaration of Independence interred in Washington, D.C. The America 250 markers celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States of America and the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The marker, a 30 by 30 inch bronze plaque, is a tangible reminder of congressional cemeteries.
Thank you, Speaker. Your time is up.
My time is up. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, my name is Candace Peel, and my husband and I have lived here over 20 years. I'm a member of DAR. My husband's a veteran. He couldn't be here tonight. If he could have been here, he would have been. I think you've heard enough about what we do in DAR, and I just hope that you understand what America 250 represents to all of us. And just so you know, some of the members of the commission are the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General. We have a Supreme Court, an ex-Supreme Court justice. I mean, the guy who runs the Smithsonian, the archives librarian. This is a very important commission and a really important event to celebrate. And I think that as part of Naperville's celebration of our 250th anniversary, maybe this could be one part of it. And I know there are 3 sites that were suggested, and I was so relieved to hear you say that you had not reviewed it and rejected it already. So I'm hoping that you'll consider one of these sites. And you know, this group here represents a lot of women in town, but I think there have been over 1 million members. I don't even know how many there are right now in DAR, but it's very responsible and very involved. And I think that you can rely on us to do a really terrific job. I just wanted to say one more thing about Ginny Narcetti. She organized the very first all-women's honor flight that ever took place in Illinois. And, you know, we have people here who are deeply committed to patriots and military and education. You know, I really hope that you'll consider working with us, and I hope that we can all celebrate this 250th anniversary.
Thank you.
Jody Heiser, followed by Vincent DeConti.
Vincent DeConti. I've been a longtime resident of Naperville. I'm a Hodar, that's husband of, for people who don't know what that means. I'm here to support putting the plaque in one of our parks. But the reason I asked to speak was because even though Mr. Wilson says you hadn't heard or voted on it yet, it apparently wasn't well received in the committee that reviewed it, from what we heard. And I find it rather incredible that a committee of elected officials finds that that we have to be here defending patriotism and history. You know, I'm really surprised that we had to all come out here and show our support, because I would thought that it would have been evident to all of you that this is good for the community. Thank you.
Jennifer Sloan, followed by Stacy Boyer.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jennifer Sloan. I moved to Naperville in 1998, went through the school system here, Mill Street, Jefferson, and Naperville North, graduated in 2006. Husband graduated in 2005. I served in the Marine Corps, presently serving as a Marine Reservist, current business owner in our local community here, a veteran, a mother of 3, and I'm here tonight because I want to voice my support for the plaque. My only time away from Naperville is actually when I was either deployed or on active orders. So there's a reason I came back to this community, and that's the patriotism and the support that I've always received. So as the gentleman just mentioned before me, there is credible information that there was opposition in that initial committee meeting. Now, I'm not concerned with that initial opposition. Really, I'm just concerned with where we go from here. and that is that we move forward with this plaque. As you can see from the immense support that we received here, it is important to our community. It's important to our veterans, to our nation's history. And I hope that you'll support the 250 plaque wherever that may be in our community. You've got a plethora of support, and forgot to mention I'm also part of the American Legion, VFW, Women Marines Association, and all organizations that support this are one of our 4 pillars in the American Legion is Americanism, and this is number 1 on our radar right now as an Americanism project. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you guys for having us here today. I'm Stacy Boyer. I'm the Senior Vice Commander at our Naperville VFW. I've lived in Naperville 20 years. Both of my children have gone to schools here, and my younger one's about to graduate this year from Naperville North. I'm part of the American Legion as well. And like Jennifer just said, Americanism is hugely important to every fiber of our being. This community, for me, gives me so much joy because of the support for the veteran community. I know you guys haven't officially put it to a vote, and there has been a lot of different conversations about what's taken place. One of the things, and I understand if anybody has an opposition, I respect everybody's differences of opinion with that, but what I would like for you to do is to just really take a moment and think about why we should approve it and why it would be something that we should add to our community. This town is founded with military patriots. Looking back even to the people that have founded the Naperville Park District, they were military. The families that have donated their land, that have donated their buildings, military. We strive to recognize and honor their legacy as far back as we can. I just recently wrote a law to establish 100-year-old graves as historical markers so we can refurbish them. And this is in line with what we need to do to protect and honor these people that gave us, like many said, the opportunity for us to speak here and make these types of decisions. Thank you.
Jennifer Stribley, followed by Julia Berkovich.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Stribley, retired United States Air Force Senior Master Sergeant. Also, my husband is retired as well, but he couldn't be here tonight. He's with my son, who is at a scholastic event at Waubonsie High School. We're both members of the American Legion and the VFW, and when we retired from the Air Force in 2015, our choice was to move to Naperville. So I'm here lending my support to my fellow Legionnaires and VFW comrades and retired Air Force and potential DAR members to urge you to please re-look at allowing that plaque to go in, because our history is very, very important. This is part of our military history, and I think that it's something that's good for the community. We're starting to lose a lot of the education of history, of genealogy, of why we're here in the first place. And I think that this is just one of those steps that allows us to continue providing support toward that history. Thank you for your time.
Hello, good evening. My name is Julie Berkowitz, and I reside in South Naperville. I'm a member of the Fort Payne DAR chapter. I'm also a member of the Judd Kendall Auxiliary, and I'm also, I serve on the Will County Board and Forest Preserve Commissioner. I'm speaking this evening to encourage you to consider accepting our donation for the 250th commemorative plaque. I hope with all the testimony you've heard tonight that you've gotten to know who DAR is and what we're all about. The members in DAR embody good citizenship, education, and recognition of youth and adult members who make a positive difference in Naperville. The DAR presents this memorial to acknowledge the lives that have made the promise to defend and honor our country. It is important to teach our young that a brighter future depends on remembering the challenges and successes in the past. We must remember the challenges that we have conquered and how they have made us stronger. Naperville is here because of the founders who built this community, the veterans that have defended it, serving the Revolutionary War and other conflicts. Naperville is here because of the heroes that continue to serve our country in the armed forces. We must not forget the members of law enforcement and first responders who serve our community 24 hours a day without question. People from all over the world choose to make Naperville their home because of what we represent. I'm asking you to recognize all the threads of character that have woven the fabric of Naperville. I'm proud to call Naperville my home. I'm proud to live in a community where every voice is heard and respected, even through occasional discourse. We continue to contribute and work together for our veterans, for our senior citizens, and our families. Let's embrace what makes us different and continue to keep our eyes and ears open to the past, the present, and the future. Honorable Naperville Park District Commissioners, thank you for your service to this community. Please continue to hear the voices of the people who reside in Naperville and call this wonderful community home. And please accept this donation to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution from the Fort Payne TAR chapter. Thank you. And first, can we also recognize all of the veterans who are here tonight who don't want to talk? We've got Roger Trent. And many other of our friends from the Judd Kendall VFW and the American Legion and our riders. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody who took the time to prepare statements and come here and speak. Monica, is that it for the in-person speakers this evening?
I have something to read into the record.
Great, thank you. Go ahead.
This is from Tom Benton on 1907 Coach Drive since 1999. Why the Naperville Parks District Board is morally obligated to support the DAR sign proposal. The Daughters of the American Revolution is as relevant today as it was when it was founded in 1890. Patriotism has no age limit. The DAR is a service organization for women who recognize the efforts and sacrifice of those that helped create this country. It is a nonprofit organization that promotes history, education, and patriotism. The organization's motto is God, Home, and Country. It works for all people living in America. The DAR is not a political organization, nor does it lobby. I am a USMC veteran. My years in the Marines prove to me that I live in a country where anyone can build a better future, that I live in a country where it does not matter who your parents were or what color your skin is. I live in a country where everyone who comes in peace is welcomed. I live in a country where each person is free to choose for themselves what religion, if any, to follow. Our nation must celebrate our differences and view them as strengths. I celebrate being an American, not because it makes me any better than my fellow human beings, but because it unites me with them in common cause. My love for my country calls to me to take actions through words and deeds to make it a better place. That is what American patriotism is about. reaching for those ideals and working to make them a reality. Our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and their families sacrificed mightily for exactly those ideals. It was said at the last meeting that the DAR sign is not closely related to the Naperville Park District or its mission. I beg to differ. Here is why. The publicized Naperville Parks District mission statement contains these core values: promote cultural diversity and creativity, promote community involvement, promote positive human interactions, promote the development of life skills. The DAR sign promotes exactly those ideals. It should be welcomed and proudly displayed by the Naperville Parks District Board to give hope to all Americans. That is it.
Thank you, Monica. All right, at this point, I will open up to comments from the board. Go ahead, Commissioner Janner.
Well, first of all, in the 12-plus years that I've served on the board, regardless of which direction this goes, this is by far the best meeting I've ever been a part of. I sincerely appreciate the passion exhibited by all the speakers, and obviously join Commissioner Risball in thanking all of you for the service. Just listening to the speeches today from the group was incredibly inspirational. First and foremost, I think the fact that there has been any opposition on this board to accepting the donation is simply a sign of the times. In recent years, cancel culture has prevailed across our country, especially in big cities. It has unfortunately become fashionable in certain circles to remove statues of historical figures, disrespect our national anthem, put a new spin on how history is taught in schools, and cancel certain periods of our history altogether. Today, this board has the opportunity to send a strong message to our veterans, our constituents, our children, and the entire community that regardless of what happens in Chicago or any other large city, here in Naperville, we appreciate patriotism, we love our veterans, we respect history, we want to preserve history, and we want future generations to learn from the past. To my colleagues on the board who have already gone on record and opposed acceptance of the America 250 plaque at the February 8th Parks and Recreation Committee meeting, there's absolutely no shame in changing your mind. I can think of numerous examples where my own viewpoint on an issue has changed after listening to public comment and gathering new and updated information on a topic. This is why we have meetings and discussions. All's well that ends well. As for my colleagues' specific objections about the America 250 plaque not being closely related to Naperville and or the mission of the Naperville Park District, I offer that without the American Revolution, as was already said by a number of speakers, there'd likely be no Naperville and no Naperville Park District. Likewise, the involvement of the Daughters of the American Revolution here in Naperville dates back to 1929. It predates all of us commissioners on the board and predates the establishment of the Naperville Park District in 1966. The regent of the DAR Fort Payne chapter, Jill Brewer, is obviously here with us tonight, is a Naperville resident. I don't know that we knew that when we had discussion at the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. And as has been mentioned numerous times, the DAR organization has been very involved, not only in parks here, but in our community. The organization is certainly no stranger to Naperville and no stranger to the Naperville Park District. For all the above reasons, I enthusiastically support acceptance of the America 250 plaque donation, and I think it would be great to have unanimous support. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Janner. All right, Commissioner Jacks.
Yeah, again, thanks everyone for coming tonight. A couple of things. One is that, doing some research on this, I've noted that our Senator, Tanya Duckworth, is a public member, pretty enthusiastic member of the DIR, as far as I can tell. So I will take that the DIR is a very straight up, straightforward, honest organization. I think that's a good endorsement of the organization. And also, you go back over a decade ago, the DIR was involved in building a monument, a statue to Tammy Duckworth alongside Molly Pitcher down in LaSalle. So there is a precedent of the DIR, putting monuments like this on public property here in Illinois, and I think that was very well accepted what they did down in LaSalle. So, and for those reasons, I would be inclined to support this.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Jacks. Commissioner Ancier.
Thank you to all the speakers who came out today. Thank you to the Daughters of American Revolution for passionately telling us about your mission, your goals, your service to the community here, and thank all your veterans for your service. I'm the chair of the Parks and Rec Committee. At the time of our discussions that we previously had, we did not have a whole lot of information. Pretty much everything that was discussed was the fact that a marker wanted to be placed by the Daughters of American Revolution. That was really all we had. And while no, it's not necessary for everybody to come out en masse to prove their point, you know, not having a whole lot to go on, we really kind of stuck to what the point of the board is to do, which is to make decisions based on our mission and goals for healthy minds, healthy lives, healthy bodies. And we didn't see how that connected. And even looking at all of the other previous plaques and things that we have in the parks that do have veteran connections. Most of them were people who were related to Naperville. Specific veterans were listed, Gold Star veterans, things like that. So that's where kind of the decision initially was like, well, off of this information, I don't see how this connects other than just it's the America's Birthday plaque, and we didn't see how that fit into anything. So that is the only reason, especially for me, can't speak for everybody, that I was initially hesitant on it. I ran for this position to serve the community, to represent the community in a nonpartisan way. Never once has any decision that I've made, and I think most of us here can say the same, has ever been decided on anything political, because that's not what Parks and Rec is about. That's not what the Park District is about. So I'm very, very happy, as President Gibson said, that everybody came out tonight to speak. We really enjoy community involvement. I love it. I hope to see more of it. I just hope you did not come here under any false pretenses that somehow this is going to be a fight or somehow people were against you, against veterans. That is not at all the case, and I regret if that was any impression anyone got. There's enough division in this world, in this community. We don't want that here in the Park District, and I hope none of the information you got being incorrectly told to you has at all tainted your relationship to the Park District and your belief in us and our ability to serve you. So with that, and having all of the information that we have now, I will give my support to placing the plaque in one of our parks. As we do have a Veterans Park for that, I think that could be a proper place for it, which we will decide further once we get to that. But as far as for going forward, I would say yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Ancier. Commissioner Thompson.
I must say I'm actually in awe of all the community outreach about this topic. Thank you guys so much for coming out. It really means a lot to see you all here and speak your minds and tell us what you think. I was, quite frankly, a little bit surprised. When I first saw this was up for discussion on the agenda, I did what I always do when we're faced with a decision with an outside group or organization. I did a bit of research. I do this with every single organization, just kind of a quick Google search just to see what I'm dealing with. And at the surface level glance, I saw a group of local women dedicated to preserving history, helping their community through volunteerism. It seemed good to me. It seemed all right, and I certainly was never against the plaque. Then the onslaught of emails began. You know, people stating their case for the plaque and saying how we oppose the plaque. And a couple in particular, I was very surprised to learn that I had already voted in opposition to this matter. No clue. And that Commissioner Janner here needed help tonight making sure it would pass. I also learned that I had political leanings that were clouding my judgment when it came to this group and this plaque. I certainly wasn't a part of any discussion leading up to this, nor did I relay my feelings on the matter, whether with Commissioner Janner or in a public meeting. It is usually customary for us to engage with one another when we have a topic we're passionate about, one-on-one. We'll give each other a phone call, just state our case, and kind of see how the other people are feeling. That certainly didn't happen with me. I don't know if it happened with other commissioners, but I certainly was not given a heads up about this with Commissioner Janner. And it kind of appeared like he had already rallied the troops, so to speak, without actually seeing if there was a battle to be had. I am so, so happy that all of you are fiercely advocating for what you believe in. And I want to know that I've read every single email and I have truly listened to you and taken notes on what has happened. I was not necessarily going to do a deep dive into your organization because, like I said, I do the surface level check. If everything seems good to go, looks like a good partnership, I'm usually not against it. But a few questions did come up, and I'd love to connect with somebody from DAR just to kind of hear what you guys have to say, if that's at all possible. Other than that, once we do see if we are a good fit for partnership, which it looks like we were in the past, I would be comfortable continuing this discussion and be opening to placing the plaque, and especially in something like Veterans Park where it makes the most sense to do. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Ruffin?
Hi. So I'm going to echo the sentiments that have already been said so great. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for your service. And to hear about the group's community involvement is just fantastic. Like, thank you for being such a great community partner. The Park District's lucky to have so many of those. I know that you all recently did the invasive clearing, and I know President Gibson and I have done that in parks as well. It is not an easy task at all. I swear I was picking those little things off my clothes for days. So thank you, truly, genuinely thank you for that. There's, as others have stated, there have been some, I'm afraid, some big assumptions made. And, the first speaker asked if we understood what the meaning of the word patriot was. And I'm personally really proud to say that I sure do know what the word patriot means, because my great-great-great-great-grandfather was a Revolutionary War soldier. My great-great-great-grandmother's grave has a plaque from DAR. So my grandpa was a veteran, my uncles are veterans, so yes, I'm really sad and I'm really disappointed that there have been these assumptions made about those of us who absolutely had some concerns before we had all this information. And again, thank you, because having this information, having this engagement is hugely helpful to us. Okay, so I'm really sorry that you were misinformed, because we take our patriotism, we take these roles, or I can't speak for anybody else. I take this role very seriously, and I will be absolutely open to say that I was one that had opposition because I could not understand how this aligned with our mission. Hearing from you all, I believe that the majority of the board, we'll see how everyone else speaks, but if the majority of the board is comfortable with this, I will be as well. But I really hope that this is a lesson, that we don't make these assumptions. We don't, reach out to us. We want to have these conversations. I could be a member of DAR. I have my genealogy right here, okay? So we are in this together. We all want the best for this community. And again, I really thank all of you.
Thank you, Vice President Ruffin. Commissioner Risbald.
It's like I'm playing baseball again. I'm batting last. It's fun. So I paid my way through school, law school, undergrad, and in part was helped by a DAR scholarship. So thank you very much for that. And thank you all for your service. I didn't serve. I didn't have the privilege of serving, but both my grandfathers did, and I owe them and all of you who did serve a tremendous debt. I'm very, very proud of the community and everybody that came out tonight. Thank you all. I can't thank you enough for carving out time to come tell us about something that is so important to you. It's obviously important to us. It's obviously important to the community. I think it's a shame that people have been woefully misinformed. I received an email that 5 out of the 7 of us had already voted on this. It's not even up for a vote. So I'm concerned about credible information. One of the speakers said there's credible information. I'd be cautious who you're getting your information from, because I don't think it's very credible. You got a unanimous board up here who's in support of everything that you've said tonight. We obviously love this country because we're serving it. That's why we ran. We obviously love this community because we're serving it. And any suggestion to the contrary is misinformation. Just like the email I got that said 5 to 7 of us had voted. It's disappointing. Check your facts, check your sources. We're not here to fight about patriotism. We're all patriots. I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to those that came before me and everybody in this room. We're not here to tell you can't have something that we all want. So please, in the future, come out, continue to support the Park District, continue to stay engaged, but I do caution you where you get your information from, because it's very obvious you're getting it from bad sources that want to stir up controversy for no reason other than publicity or a soundbite or some 15 minutes of fame. And we've seen that at City Council. This is not the place for it. Your tax dollars are hard at work here. They're hard at work responsibly here. And they are not controversial. We're here to help the parks and help the community further everything that you want. So let's not turn this into some political sideshow because we want to get on Fox News or MSNBC. All right? We want a great community, and we want to continue to be an elite park district in the safest city in America, one of the best cities in America to raise your family, and one of the best cities in America, period. I didn't have the privilege of growing up here, but I moved here for a purpose. And that purpose is because it is such a great place to live. So let's not get sidetracked with nonsense. We're all on the same page. We're all in the same boat. And we're rowing the boat in the same direction. So I thank all of you. Thank you for coming out. But again, I caution everybody, let's not fall victim to, nonsense and misinformation that we're seeing on Twitter or, in our email inboxes, all right? My cell phone numbers in every email I send from the Park District. You can call me, you can text me anytime. Happy to answer these questions. But I don't think that we need an hour-long, we don't need to have you all waste your time on something that is not a fight. We're on the same page. And I think it's unfortunate that you had to waste any time, if you did, or you felt that it was, on something that definitely is not a fight. And I'm sad that there's so much misinformation being spewed. That's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Risvold. I'd like to echo thank you again all for coming out, and thank you to the veterans who are here tonight for your service. I do apologize that it seems like there was some intentional mischaracterization, but I'm also really glad you're here, so I'm not going to apologize for that because you're here. We all heard about the great work you're doing in our community, and anybody who is watching the meeting or listening will also hear about the work you're doing in our community. So with that, staff has asked us to gather consensus from the board on whether there's an interest to develop an agreement with the Daughters of the American Revolution to accept the donation of America 250 marker and place it at a Naperville Park District park. To determine if there's consensus, I will ask each commissioner to indicate if they are in favor of moving forward with the development of an agreement. I'll go around it if everybody could audibly say yes or no. Commissioner Risvold?
Obviously, yes, but I do have a caveat. It's sort of tangential. I don't know that we have any written policies and procedures on the placement of plaques at all, and maybe it's because I'm new to the board, but I'd like to discuss that at some point later outside of this conversation. Okay,
that's a good point, because I know that was in some of the emails as a criticism claiming that meant we were not amenable to accepting the plaque. As a board, one of our primary responsibilities is setting policies for the Park District and setting objective, reproducible criteria for what belongs in our public spaces, so that way these decisions aren't up to personal preferences of the board. I think that's in everybody's best interest. That's in your best interest, Daughters of the Revolution's best interest, to have objective criteria, and somehow to characterize that as meaning that board members are against a specific group is just disinformation. So is that a discussion, Executive Director Wilson, you'd like to be paired right now or uncoupled? How?
No, that's absolutely, as we work through this, we can certainly revisit the policies. In fact, we will be reviewing all of our policies during the course of this year, and that's something that we can have further discussion on.
But to answer your question, yes. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
it's the lawyer in me. I apologize. I like written policies and procedures, so sorry. But yes, obviously yes.
Thank you. Vice President Ruffing?
Yes, but completely agree. This has really shown us that we absolutely need a policy in place. So I agree with both of you that really needs to happen.
All right, I agree, and I agree with directing staff to move forward with accepting the donation. Commissioner Ancier?
Yes, agreed. And also with the last Parks and Rec meeting where this was discussed, and the idea of having a policy going forward actually was brought up, and also supported by the commissioners who were there, which were President Gibson, Commissioner Janner, myself, I believe Vice President Ruffing as well. So that's not a new discussion, but yes.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Jacks?
I favor moving forward, yes.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Janner?
Yes, and as for the comments by Commissioner Risvold and Commissioner Thompson, obviously none of you were at the Parks and Rec Committee meeting, I would encourage you to request a transcript of the audio tape of that Parks and Rec Committee meeting. Review the audio, get a transcript, and you'll see the sentiment of the Parks and Rec Committee at that time. So I know there was some misinformation. Anytime you play a game of telephone, this person talks to this person, you know, things get misconstrued, but get a transcript and you'll see exactly where we're at.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'd be really interested to read that transcript, and then also I'm sure the results of whatever FOIA requests have been submitted to the Park District for emails with certain quote-unquote credible information that may have gone out to certain folks. I'm very interested to hear and see all of that. Thank you.
All right,
yes, I support.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes, I am comfortable moving forward. I would like a couple questions answered, but I think we can accomplish that before any vote takes place. So, but yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you all. I appreciate your time this evening.
So just to clarify and for everyone, the next step will be that staff will work with representatives from Daughters of the American Revolution to develop an agreement for the donation. And then that agreement, once we finalize that, we will bring that back to the Park District Board for formal approval.
Great. Thank you, Executive Director Wilson. All right, next up, we have the consent agenda. Monica, sorry, will you please read the consent agenda?
Item 3.1, approved January 2024 disbursements made through the Bank of America Purchasing Card Program in the amount of $251,245.01. 3.2, approve February 8th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. 3.3, approve February 8th, 2024 executive session closed meeting minutes. 3.4, authorize the executive director to issue a purchase order to Little Tykes Commercial in the amount of $99,990.70 for play equipment for the Frontier Sports Complex Central Playground renovation project procured through the district's membership in the Sourcewell Purchasing Network. 3.5, waive competitive bidding and extend the contract with Haven Shine Technologies, Inc. for the 2024 mowing season, and to add the following parks: Monarch Park, Kings Hill Park, White Eagle Park, Heatherstone Park, Country Lakes Park, as per the proposal dated February 15th, 2024. 3.6, approve the 2024 contract mowing service contract for the North Region to Mark I Landscape, Inc. in the amount of $23,817.23. Central Region to Mark I Landscape, Inc. in the amount of $42,301.16, in South Region to Mark I Landscape, Inc. for the amount of $45,635.91. 3.7, find that supply chain issues have made the procurement of transportation vehicles no longer adaptable to competitive bidding, and to approve the purchase of two 2024 Ford Maverick XL FWD hybrid pickup trucks for $27,305 each, and one Ford Maverick XAWD pickup truck with EcoBoost for $28,025 from Willowbrook Ford. 3.8, approve the Eagle Street Gateway and Prairie Nature Garden improvements to the Riverwalk, to the Naperville Riverwalk. That is all.
Thank you, Monica. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately? Hearing none.
Move to accept consent agenda items 3.1 through 3.8.
Second, Thompson.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Ruffing?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ansier?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Janner?
Yes.
Commissioner Risvold?
You got it.
President Gibson?
Yes.
Move to approve consent agenda items 3.1 through 3.8.
Second, Thompson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I propose, does everybody need 5-minute break? Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. Is everyone okay with that before we go into new business? Thanks. Are we? Rob? All right. I do. All right. We didn't actually adjourn, right? So we're okay to just continue as, okay, thanks. All right, so we will move on to new business and discussion items. We'll start with the proposed Wintrust sponsorship agreement and field naming.
Good evening. In a board memo dated February 16th, 2024, a proposed sponsorship agreement and field naming in partnership with current Park District partner, Naperville Bank and Trust, a Wintrust community bank, was explained in detail. While Wintrust has been a sponsor of the Park District activities and events, last year the district evaluated banking service proposals and recommended a change to Naperville Bank and Trust. Following the transition of banking services in 2023, staff met with Naperville Bank and Trust representatives to explore the opportunity for them to grow their partnership and become a major district sponsor. That said, the bank is prepared to support a 5-year agreement that would result in naming the synthetic turf at Knock Park Wintrust Athletic Field. This name would remain for the term of the sponsorship. A sign would be placed on the west side of the field at Knock Park along West Street in recognition of the field name. Additionally, the bank would like to pursue a 2-year agreement for additional assets, including NB&T designation as the official banking partner or provider for the Naperville Park District, presenting sponsor of the fee assistance program, Fort Hill Activity Center walking track signage and indoor digital signage, monthly tabling opportunities at Naperville Park District facilities, sports field banners, feather banners at Centennial Beach, logos on camp t-shirts, and advertising on golf scorecards. So you can see that the opportunity really runs the gamut for Naperville Bank and Trust and Wintrust to really enhance their partnership with us. At the end of year 2, Bank and Park District representatives would have a conversation and review the assets and the deployment and evaluate the success of those various assets to determine if changes are needed or if the assets portion of the agreement would continue. Tonight, we are looking to gather consensus from the board to determine if there is an interest in moving forward with the naming of Knock Park Synthetic Turf Field to Wintrust Athletic Field. And if so, we will begin the 60-day review period regarding the naming and will prepare a resolution for the board's consideration.
Great. Thank you. So are there any questions before we gather consensus on this item? No. Executive Director Wilson?
No, if I could just say from a staff perspective, we're very excited at the opportunity to work further with Naperville Bank and Trust. They've been a great partner, and this is certainly a way to continue to increase that partnership with the Park District. So we're excited for the opportunity.
Great. I agree, and thanks, Director Luthman, for your team's work on this. Naperville Bank and Trust, it seems like a good way, to supplement and alleviate the tax burden as well. So. Consensus, everybody seeing what looks like unanimous consensus. I think we're good to move forward with the 60-day naming period.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good. Thank you. All right, next up we have the cooperative agreement with DuPage Senior Citizen Council.
Yes, so since the 1990s, the Park District has provided use of the kitchen at the Alfred Rubin Riverwalk Community Center for the Meals on Wheels program, which is coordinated through the DuPage Senior Citizens Council. As part of the program, a caterer prepares the meals off-site and then delivers the meals to the RCC, where the DuPage Senior Citizens Council, their staff and volunteers put the meals together, package them, and then deliver them to seniors throughout the community. In addition to the meals, when they're delivered, those seniors are also receiving well-being checks and emergency follow-up if needed. The updated agreement that we intend to provide to the board would be to continue that partnership between the Park District and the DuPage Senior Citizens Council for the continuation of the program at the RCC. There are no fees that are charged to this program. This is something that the district provides the space for this community program, and it does not conflict with any of the programs that we have at the facility. So wanted to present it this evening and gather any feedback or questions from the board prior to bringing the cooperative agreement to the board for consideration.
Are there any questions or comments on this? All right, thank you. Next up, Conduct Ordinance 641 updates. What's that? Sorry.
Yes, included in the February 16th weekly packet was a draft version of updates to Ordinance 641. The majority of the policy updates are minor. This is part of our really kind of every year to 2 years we take a real good look at Ordinance 641 to determine if any updates are needed. Examples of policy updates include in Section 2.01 drones, a clarification of the district's jurisdiction over its properties, which is limited to 200 feet. Section 2.04, smoking and tobacco products, including the prohibited use of electronic cigarettes to that section. Section 2.09, camping, updates on notices for removal of personal items from park property. Section 2.13 is disorderly conduct. There's additional subsections, E through I were added, identifying additional forms of disorderly conduct. Section 2.27 is the posting of printed or written material in designated areas, updates on that content, updates on the content that's not permitted, and this would actually create greater consistency with the district's social media policy as far as what can be posted there as well. Section 2.39, sleeping on district property, identifying that no person shall make use of the district property as a place to sleep in a manner designated to act as a residence. And then Section 2.47 would be a new section. It's for trespass to land prohibited. It further identifies the prohibited use of Park District property. And as I mentioned, there were a number of other suggested updates and changes within the policy that are more minor in nature, but wanted to present it this evening. Again, gather any questions or thoughts from the board in preparation for bringing that for approval at the next board meeting.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions on the updates to 641? All right, I'd just like to take a second to note, this is just the first of many policy updates that we're discussing tonight. Thanks for staff. These are big documents that, kind of oversee all the operations, and policies are really important. Every year we do this, and every year I'm amazed by, how we make it better and the more things we can, put in there that govern the day-to-day operations of the Park District. So thank you to everybody for your work on this. I know we're going to talk about the other ones as well. But.
And just real quick, in addition to the policies that we're discussing with the board this evening, 2024 also marks the year that we conduct a review of the board policies. And that is something that is completed after the annual meeting, which typically takes place in June. So this summer, we will be bringing back a review of the board policies for your thoughts and consideration.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. All right, we will move on to Human Capital Management System.
Good evening. So the district issued an RFP for a human capital management system last fall, and we received 8 proposals in response. 3 companies were invited to provide demos to a cross-functional team that included representation from HR, finance, parks, golf, IT, recreation, and planning. We're in the process of conducting reference checks and asking follow-up questions to those vendors. Assuming all follow-up questions are answered to our satisfaction and a contract can be agreed upon, Director Stanish and I are working toward presenting a human capital management system to the board for approval, ideally at the March 14th meeting, but if not, at the very least, the April 11th meeting.
Are there any questions? No? All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, no,
I'm going to
the
just
next
hang
two.
out up here. Cool. Go ahead. Compensation program analysis update.
So the district will conduct a compensation program analysis this year. This effort is directly related to the district's recruiting and retention efforts. An RFP was issued just after the first of the year for this project. As a result, the district received 6 responses. The team that evaluated the RFPs has selected HR Source as the organization to conduct the analysis. The cost of the project is $18,900, which is well within the executive director's spending authority. Even though the agreement will not come before the board for approval, I wanted to provide an update since this project has been discussed with the board previously.
Great. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions on that one?
No. Thank you. Annual personnel policy update.
So, as you know, the district reviews personnel policies on an annual basis. The review includes a staff review, PDRMA recommendations, and legal review with the Ansel Glink team. The board was provided track changes copies of 8 policies that will come before you for approval at the March 14th meeting in last week's weekly packet. Did you have it? I can go through the highlights, but if you had any specific questions, I'm happy to address those instead of going through each highlight.
I do, just because I'm confused. The 2 appendixes, are
Yes.
they going to be incorporated as separate policy, individual policies, or are they
So
appendixes to an existing policy?
The appendices, it's a section that has additional policies in it. Yeah, there's probably something we should look at as far as the structure goes, but yeah, they're not brand new. They've been there if they just needed a little cleaning up. Yep.
Cool. Any other questions? No?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Is that all right? Thank you,
I'm
Dr.
done.
Seppi. Next up, administrative policy updates.
Okay, back to me. So also in the February 16th weekly packet was a draft version of updates to our administrative policies. Again, this is something we review on an annual basis. A number of those changes are also minor, but 2 that I want to call out in the meeting this evening are updates to our social media comment and terms of use. It identifies additional social media sites used by the district and reinforces that the district adheres to the rights established by the First Amendment. The policy updates also include revisions to the content that is subject to removal and or restriction by the district. And as I mentioned before, we've updated Ordinance 641 to also reflect that, to be consistent. And then a new policy, video surveillance. It's a new proposed administrative policy. It addresses the use of district security cameras at facilities and other park properties. This is something that we worked with legal counsel to craft and be able to add to the administrative policies. So there again, I'd like to see if there are any questions from the board prior to bringing the policies to the next meeting for approval.
Vice President Ruffin.
Looking through the video surveillance language, under signage, it says signs may be posted. Is it possible, like, could we consider or talk about changing may to shall? Because if we are going to have video surveillance and monitoring people, I think we should let them know, and the may suggests that we might not put that signage up, but maybe I'm interpreting it wrong?
We can certainly look at that. There are areas, I mean, we have a number of areas out within parks, video cameras of parking lots, so on, so it could be a considerable amount of signage to add within the parks, and that was one of the reasons for listing it as may versus shall, but I mean, we can certainly take another look at that if the board has an interest.
Another idea would be then, or maybe we can change the language that signs shall be posted on buildings. Maybe we can differentiate between buildings and parking lots, because I do understand that if every parking lot is being surveilled, that's a lot of sound. But I want people to know if they're in a building, they're under video monitoring.
Sure, and then just quickly, the other concern sometimes is that people see the sign, and if for whatever reason the video camera isn't working that day or isn't recording and retaining the footage, sometimes there's concerns that it provides like a false sense of security if there's a sign and the camera's not working. But I think there's a workable solution for, like, particularly like you said, for building cameras. That makes sense to me.
Any other questions or comments on this item?
I think we'd probably fall back on there's got to be a statute or something, right, that dictates what's required, what's...
Sorry, for retention, Commissioner?
No, not that, for the signage piece.
Oh, yeah, we'll take a look too, because we've just encountered this with some other park districts and like you said, outdoor facilities. It can be tricky to know what kind of liability can arise from placing cameras and then having notice of cameras as well. But we'll double and triple check and work with Brad and the staff to make sure that where feasible, and particularly in indoor spaces, perhaps there's consistent signage.
All right, great. Thank you. We'll move on to the next one, annual review of financial policies.
Good evening. I think I'm the caboose of the policy reviews. So it is that time for our financial policy review on February 8th. The Finance Committee did review all of our policies as required. And on your last weekly packet, I did include redline versions of our policies. Really, it's the majority of them were cleanup. I'd like to point out one addition to our reimbursement and expense policy, and that is now we are proposing with your approval that we would provide one night of lodging for employees that are working, getting CPU credits for regional conferences, provided they spend 2 consecutive days at the conference. And also just clarifying and codifying it in the policy that if, as you know, many of our staff here are presenting at concerts, conferences, especially in Chicago, that the night before you're presenting, that we're also providing one night's lodging for them.
Any questions on this?
Any other questions?
No. Sounds good. Thank you. Municipal Advisory Services RFP.
Great. So, as you are aware, our longtime advisor retired, Eric Anderson, this past December. We did send out on January 9th an RFP for municipal advisory services. We sent that RFP out directly to 4 firms that are well known to provide those services in the state of Illinois, along with posting the RFP on our website. We ended up getting 5 responses, and of those 5 responses, the review team, which was comprised of myself, Jeremy Link, and Director Wilson, we interviewed 3 firms. And spent time with them, understanding their process and their approval. Based on that, the criteria, which were firm experience qualifications, the experience of who will be providing our services for us, and their methodology towards providing education, working in the markets, working with the rating agencies. We're recommending Spear Financial. They are very well known in the state of Illinois. And before I continue, I'll just, Anthony Maselli, will be the representative providing, the board approves a contract with them to provide those services for us going forward. Spear itself, I'll give you a little background because we're all going to be working with them a lot. They have over 80 park districts in the state of Illinois, which is a significant amount of experience with that. The staff that will be working on the district account has over 44 collective years of experience in municipal advisory services. Spear also already has a jump specifically on the Naperville community, as the city of Naperville also uses Spear Financial, and coincidentally, Anthony is also the prime lead for the city's municipal advisory services. They're very engaging. They have a lot of experience presenting. In our local government finance officer group, Spear does a lot of education, so they're very familiar and can present to a wide variety of audiences, including the board. They can work with staff, and they've worked with the community also. So with your concurrence tonight, I'd be expecting a contract at the March 14th board meeting.
All right.
Questions?
No? All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Arbor Way, Central Park, Oak Ridge Parkway, and South Point Playground renovations.
Yes, good evening. Contracts for the 2024 playground renovations at Arbor Way, Central Park, Oak Ridge Parkway, and South Point Park are anticipated to be presented to the Park Board for approval in March. The scope of work for playground renovations involves the removal of existing play equipment and site furnishings, as well as installation of new play equipment, concrete flat work, site furnishings, and landscaping. Pending contract approvals, construction activities are expected to begin in the spring with the intent that the projects reach substantial completion this summer and fall. Any questions on that?
Sounds good. Commissioners Park and DuPage River Sports Complex inline skate rink fence improvements.
A contract for the Commissioners Park and DuPage River Sports Complex inline skate rink fence improvements project is expected to be presented to the Park Board for approval in March. The scope of work at Commissioners Park includes replacement of the chain link fence fabric behind each goal of the inline skate rink. The scope of work at DuPage River Sports Complex includes replacement of the chain link fence fabric around the entire perimeter fence of the inline skate rink, as well as raising the fence height by 2 feet along the east side of the rink in order to prevent pucks and balls from being lost in the no-mow vegetated berm that separates the rink from Washington Street. Pending contract approval, it is anticipated that the work will be completed in summer of 2024.
Does the rink have to be closed for it?
Yes, when they do the installation and the renovation of the fence, it has to be closed, but the fence renovation work is estimated to be a relatively short duration.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you. District-wide hardcourt improvements.
A contract for the district-wide hardcourt improvements is expected to be presented to Park Board for approval in March as well. The scope of work includes crack fill, color coding, and striping at the Country Lakes Park basketball courts, Creekside Park basketball court, DuPage River Sports Complex basketball and tennis courts, and Cedar Park basketball court. Pending contract approval, it is anticipated that work will be completed in summer of 2024.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Knock Knolls Park, Frank J. Russ Pavilion and site work.
Contracts for the Knock Knolls Park Frank J. Russ Pavilion Installation and Site Improvements Project are anticipated to be presented to the Park Board for approval in March and April. The scope of work for this portion of the project consists of installation of Frank J. Russ Pavilion and storage shelter with concrete slabs, footings, and masonry work, as well as an ADA accessible asphalt trail and site improvements. The scope items are planned to be addressed as part of separate contracts and presented to the Park Board for approval when ready in the spring. At the March 23rd, 2023 meeting, the Park Board authorized the Executive Director to issue a purchase order for the fabrication and delivery of the Frank J. Russ Pavilion and adjacent storage shelter. Pending contract approval, construction activities are expected to begin in the spring with the intent that the project reaches substantial completion in summer.
Great, thank you. Riverwalk Place Development Temporary Construction Easement.
So the Riverwalk Place is a residential development proposed at 415 West Jackson Avenue. The property abuts the Naperville Park District North Maintenance Facility site to the north. The North Maintenance Facility structure is located approximately 6 feet away from the property line. The project contractor recently approached the Park District staff and requested a temporary construction easement of 5 feet wide on the district's property. The February 16th, 2024 weekly packet memo included copies of the exhibits submitted by the contractor that depicts the 5 foot wide easement area being requested, as well as the image prepared by staff featuring the approximate location of the property line. When meeting on site with the contractor, staff expressed concern with the request to access Park District property and excavate over 7 feet in depth adjacent to the North Maintenance Facility and its foundation. As an alternative, staff suggested the approach of the construction fence being located on the development site and consideration of the temporary construction easement requiring Park Board approval for access to conduct fine grading and restoration along the property line toward the end of the project to ensure proper drainage. The approach recommended by staff is consistent with past temporary construction easement requests reviewed and granted for construction of new developments adjacent to Park District properties. It's important to note that the property owner informed staff that he plans to pay the full cash donation related to land cash development ordinance for the residential development in accordance with municipal code. We wanted to present this request for temporary construction easement to the board tonight, including staff's recommendation for consideration. If there is a consensus, next steps would be to proceed with the ordinance and authorization of the temporary construction easement at an upcoming meeting. So we just want to get your thoughts on that request this evening.
So they did agree to the recommendations the staff's made?
Yes.
Okay. I just
Yeah,
wanted
we
to make sure I was
suggested it, and then we said, would you like us to present it to the board for consideration? And they said, yes, please.
Any other questions? And this is in line with staff recommendation. Everybody in consensus move forward? All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. West Branch of DuPage River Shoreline Restoration.
So similar to the granted temporary construction easement agreement approved on December 14th, 2023, in order for the DuPage County's contractor to access and conduct construction activities for stormwater infrastructure improvements and shoreline restorations at Brighton Ridge Park and Stanford Meadows, a separate grant of temporary construction easement agreement is planned to be presented for approval later this year for the West Branch of the DuPage River Shoreline Restoration Project. The grant of temporary construction easement agreement for this project is slated to be presented to the Park Board for approval following completion of shoreline restoration drawings and acceptance of the permit documents by DuPage County, which is anticipated to occur this spring. In the meantime, if DuPage County funding is available, the intent is to remove the invasive and poor quality trees in the upcoming weeks when the site conditions are advantageous for this type of maintenance work in preparation of the West Branch of DuPage River Shoreline Restoration Project. Similar to other vegetative removal work along the Riverwalk, the Park District will execute a comprehensive communication plans prior to the start of work. So we just want to provide you with an update on that.
Thank you.
And then also related to that, and shoreline restoration, Brighton Ridge Park, we would like to also provide another update if we can tag on to that agenda item.
Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent. As related at the January 18th, 2024 Park Board meeting, a contract for the Brighton Ridge Park Pond Dredging Project is proposed to be presented at a future Park Board meeting for approval. Since the needed pond dredging proposed for Brighton Ridge Park is outside of DuPage County's shoreline restoration scope of work and funding plan, it is recommended to support the dredging work with 2024 capital funds allocated for shoreline restoration, pond dredging, and B projects. Last week, staff received bids for this project. The two lowest bids received were in the amounts of $797,500 and $800,000, which greatly exceeded the project budget of $650,000. As next steps, we intend to adjust the quantities as part of the scope of work and rebid the project with the goal to present a contract to the board within the budget amount at an upcoming board meeting.
Any questions? So what does that mean? You just don't dredge as deep?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So in preparation of this project, we conducted what they call a bathymetric survey. And so we figured out the depth of the settlement. What we're going to do is focus on the main problem areas. And we think collaborating with the contractor by reducing the quantities, we can achieve our goal of doing most of the dredging for the project and ensure that we have a good, solid, clean environment after the completion of the dredging work.
Okay. Since dredging is kind of on a cycle, although we're doing the shoreline restabilization, does this mean if we have to re-dredge in the future, it would probably be sooner than it would be if we did the full dredging? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, are you referring to Brighton Ridge Park?
Yeah, for the Brighton Ridge Park one, if we're not going to be getting out as much as we had hoped.
So what's very important that we wanted to include the dredging work, which was outside of the funding with DuPage County and the partnership that we have. It's so important when we do the shoreline restoration, we also do the dredging project. Yeah. So we think by at least doing a major chunk of it, and again, too, we found from the bid results that our lowest and our second lowest bidder, there was a discrepancy between the mobilization costs. You know, one contractor bid about $17,000, the other was about $100,000. So we think by rebidding this, we're going to get some very favorable numbers that we could bring back to the board, and we're going to have quantities within the bid form that's going to allow us to bring as much as we can within budget to the board, and we feel very, very good about the approach that we're going to be able to get a lot of it done when we have that contract ready after we rebid it.
Okay, sounds good.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm worried if we, we can get the job done within budget,
yeah,
right, and it still be effective.
Yeah, and that's why we think with the quantities within the bid form and the numbers that we receive, once all the other contractors see those numbers, they're going to be extremely competitive.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Any other questions? No. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, golf green mower purchase.
Thank you. Good evening. In the board's February 16th weekly packet, staff provided a memo detailing the proposed purchase of greens mowing equipment for the golf courses. A contract for the board's consideration is anticipated to be presented for approval at the March 14th Board of Commissioners meeting. Staff is requesting to approve the purchase of 2 Toro E-Triflex greens mowers for use at both of our golf courses. The golf courses have been increasing the use of hybrid-powered mower equipment. This helps reduce noise associated with traditional mowers and also reduces the use of fossil fuels. The reduced noise factor actually has been a benefit for us on areas that are adjacent to homes at both golf courses, especially early in the morning when mowers are out getting the golf courses prepared for the day. Right now, we currently use the Toro E-Triflex mowers at both our golf courses, and they're proving to be excellent mowers, good results, and reliable service. Each mower is priced at $61,639 using the Sourcewell cooperative purchasing contract. Staff will be requesting to purchase 2 of these mowers for a total contract price of $123,278. A total of $479,000 is allocated in the 2024 golf capital budget for equipment purchases. Pending a contract approved, delivery of this equipment is anticipated actually later this spring.
Great. Questions? No? All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, 2024 fertilizer bid. Bless you.
Good evening. Staff anticipates presenting to the board for consideration the 2024 Park Services fertilizer bid in March. As shared at the February 8th, 2024 Parks and Recreation Committee meeting, the advertisement for bid was posted in late January and we received 8 separate submissions on February 9th. Staff is currently reviewing the submissions in preparation of making a formal recommendation to the Park Board at that meeting in March. Funds were allocated within both the 2024 Golf and Parks operations budgets for the purchase of our fertilizer needs. Are there any questions?
No. Sounds good. All right, thank you. Fleet equipment purchase.
The Fleet Division intends to present for approval the purchase of a Toro 7500D 144-inch zero-turn mower and a Toro Workman HDX utility vehicle at the March 14th, 2024 board meeting. Both pieces of equipment will be purchased utilizing contracts provided through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Network, each of which was awarded to a local vendor, Reinders. Purchase of these units was discussed also at the February 8th, 2024 Parks and Recreation Committee meeting, where it was shared that the Toro mower offered an approximate savings of $48,000 as an alternative option as compared to the 11-foot production mower it was scheduled to replace. The 11-foot production mower, as well as the current Toro Workman utility vehicle, were both pulled from active duty late last year and not repaired, as expected costs were deemed too excessive, and we had those replacements scheduled for 2024. Reinders has indicated that both pieces of equipment are in stock and will be ready for delivery this spring. A new production mower and utility vehicle were itemized within the 2024 Fleet Capital Vehicle and Equipment Replacement Plan, and funds do remain available for their purchase. Additional details will be provided prior to the next meeting.
Great, thank you. And Park Police Vehicle.
Staff expects to bring the purchase of a 2025 Ford Police Interceptor to the Park Board for consideration at a meeting in March. A contract was recently issued to Curry Motors via the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative for 2025 models, which are expected to be manufactured and delivered within the 2024 calendar year. This new hybrid SUV is expected to replace Unit 03, a 2014 F-150 pickup. Fleet staff are currently working with Chief Schindelbeck to select the appropriate vehicle options and determine the final price. Details will be provided prior to that meeting in March. A new police interceptor was listed in the 2024 fleet vehicle and equipment replacement plan, and funds do remain available to make that purchase.
Great. Thank you. Questions? No? All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. The next regular meeting of the Park Board of Commissioners will be March 14th, 2024 at 7 p.m. here at Fort Hill Activity Center.
Move to adjourn to executive session to discuss land acquisition per Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act.
Second, Thompson.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Ruffing?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ansier?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Janner?
Yes.
Commissioner Risvold?
Yep.
President Gibson?
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone.